Hello, and welcome to another new voice show. I'm your host, Brendan Madison.
I'm your other host, Johnny G.
And we're back to tell you about more voice show shenanigans.
Oh, you know it.
Yeah, those shenanigans. The worst thing you can say to an Irish person ever.
Shenanigan.
Whoa, hey, take it easy.
I'm sorry, laddie. Back to the shenanigans we go.
Yeah, we do. And I think we don't really have a topic for today. We're just kind of free falling.
Yeah, we're balling on a budget.
Oh, there you go. No, we are free falling off of this cliff into a cataclysmic disaster.
Yes, so enjoy this disaster for another 50 minutes.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty entertaining.
At least for us.
Yeah. Okay, so what did we want to start with today?
Well, I don't know. I was just I was using the bathroom earlier today, okay. And this thing that happens all the time with me when I'm in the bathroom at my house occurred, and I thought I'd tell a little story.
Okay.
I haven't told many stories on the podcast that I remember.
No, we have not had a lot of stories.
Okay, so first story. Anyway, I have 2 cats, and they're good cats. They're pretty good cats. But one thing they really like to do is come crawling into the bathroom when I'm using the bathroom.
And by crawling, you mean like
okay, so usually if I close the door all the way, they're not going to get in. Like, they can't open the door. But I usually, I'll kind of shut it, but since they're not very heavy doors, they're pretty light doors, they just sort of the wind resistance stops them from closing all the way, unless I fully push it in. So
yeah, you gotta go. You don't have time to make sure that's secured, right?
I mean, when I gotta go,
swinging it behind you. Yeah,
I'm just pants down, just buckle it down, and then just all right, there we go. And anyway, what usually happens is I'll see little cat paws kind of go through that crack that meets the door, so they'll kind of see that there's a ray of light,
kind of like demons in a horror movie.
Exactly,
right?
They just sort of you're getting that scratching too, because they sit there and their little claws come out, and it's kind of just like this, that kind of sound, and then they just sort of hit against the door, and then you can actually see them literally, the paw will crawl around the corner of the door, and then they push it open, or sometimes they'll pull it open, and it's crazy. But they do that, and then they crawl in, and it's usually fine when you're sitting down, although it's uncomfortable because it's you're pooping for an audience. But being the luxury that we have is as men is we can use the bathroom and we can pee standing up.
Now that we're men,
we can pee standing up. Now that we're men,
there you go.
That's pretty much everything. But my cats really like to. Another thing my cats like to do. So. They like coming in the bathroom, and they also like phrasing would have been better there.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I was gonna let that slide, but
okay. They like crawling into the bathroom while I'm doing my business. They also really like to play with toys, usually that dangle. We have this one thing. It's like a fluff ball basically that just sort of sits on the end of a line that's on a little. It's almost like a cat fishing pole, so you sort of dangle it a little bit, and then they just start to wah, bah, 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 they bat it, and they do little cat stuff. That is really terrifying when they crawl into the bathroom, because the other downside of being a man is you have a dangling toy. I wouldn't really. Okay, man, you don't have a toy. You have a dangling instrument that that's within reach of a full-grown cat, and that does not, you standing there, you'd think, they're not going to do it. They're not going to go up and they're not going to bat anything. And they usually don't. But if they crawl in and you're standing, and then, you have the golden stream and it's beautiful. And you're just, you're having a good time. You're just, you've got all this built up water and stuff in your bladder. And now you're relieving so much pressure, so much stress. And now you've just got a cat that comes in and starts, batting the stream. Mm-hmm. And that is uncomfortable, to say the least, and a little bit messy.
You ever gotta cut it off?
Sometimes I'll just I'll cut it right there and be like, all right, cat, you gotta go. So I'll pick it up and I'll set it outside. Other times it's just okay, I don't believe they're gonna do it. And then they do it, and then they stand up all the way. And they end up smacking the source, and it's... And that's the end of my story.
That's the end of the story. So how are you feeling now?
I'm feeling fine now. It didn't happen today, but I mean, they did crawl in today. I was just sort of sitting there. I was watching a video on my phone. And they're like, "Oh, hey, cats," and then I just had flashbacks to the war of pain.
So you escaped the day unscathed then.
I did. I lived to pee another day.
Okay.
Safely.
Okay. All right, great. How much claw is involved in these events?
Okay, the best part about that is there's not much claw usually. Only one time was there any claw, and at that time I kind of just stopped and laid down and cried a little bit. Yeah, as you would do when a cat claws your junk. But usually it's just like the pad of their paw, and they just sort of like, and it's like, no.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's like, dang it, you made a mess now.
Yep. It really stinks.
Look what you've done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cats are fun.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for my story.
Your opening story.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was a good opening.
Yeah, I don't know how many people we lost because of all the bathroom talk here.
All the bathroom talk, all of the violence.
You know what? It's okay though. I don't mind.
Yeah, it's okay. I can't say I've ever had any kind of experience like that. When I'm in the bathroom, I usually make sure to secure the door.
Yeah, I do that now.
No, yeah.
I've learned my lesson.
Yeah, even though today you said they came in on you.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, I usually do it. I should say.
Well, I don't if I'm standing up, because then if somebody comes in, I can just move around and say, "Oh, don't look at me.
Hey, I'm peeing here. Hey."
Yeah.
You're so vulnerable when you're doing your other business.
And
you can't move. You can like shield your face, cover your hand, like put your hand over your eyes, but
the best bet is to just throw whatever you have in reach at the intruder.
Get out!
You get some shampoo, maybe squirt it, hope you get it in their eyes, like.
This is my private time.
The worst thing that might happen is my dog might come in, and she's very finicky about where she gets her water from. I don't know why. If I let her outside, sometimes she'll drink from the collected water in the like collectors at the bottom of pots.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Potted plants and stuff. And she'll drink from that like scummy, mossy water, and then I come in and I show her water bowl, and she looks at me like I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I don't know why my dog does the same thing. If it's the cat's water, she loves it.
Yeah.
If it's her own water, I don't think so.
Yeah, and so sometimes she'll go into the bathroom and jump into the bathtub and drink any water that's left over from the bathtub that hadn't drained or got collected somewhere. So she'll just lick at the floor of the bathtub, and I'll be like, "Hey, wait, come out here." And then I usually show her water. She looks at me like I'm stupid, and then I empty it out and refill it, and now she's okay to drink it.
It's because it's old water.
You'd think, but she'll drink chlorinated pool water. She'll drink stagnant creek water. She'll drink she'll drink anything other than her water in the bowl if it's been sitting there for more than an hour. So
okay, you could probably just leave it outside for a bit, maybe like 5 or 6 days. Let it, let it culminate some bacteria, and then she'll drink it.
Get flies in it. Yeah,
exactly. That's what you need. You just need to get like some bait from a fish store, or not a fish store, from like a bait store.
Bait and
you
tackle.
Get bait from the tackle store.
The hunting store. I feel like you'd usually go to a hunting store, even though fishing is not the same as hunting.
That is true. Although like usually they're like just outdoors stores. Like Sportsman's Warehouse is just outdoors.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, fair enough. If you want to be outdoors, you better come inside here first.
We'll help you prepare for the outside on the inside.
Yes. Yes. But the closest thing I've had to a bad cat scratch like that is I was at my uncle's house, and he had a very young black cat that was rather skittish. And I was like, "Oh, this is adorable." But it hid under a chair that I was sitting in. So it was like a love seat. So it was like a very well established piece of furniture. Yeah. Like this was no bar stool we're talking about. This was a chair that you could definitely hide under were you a small cat. So I was like, "Oh, the cat's under my chair." So I got up and sat all the way on the chair and leaned upside down underneath to look at the cat. I was like, "Oh, hey there, cat." And then it reached out with its claws and got me on the inside of the tip of my nose.
Ooh.
And I was like, "Ow, that was not fun." And I stopped trying to be friends with that cat. I was like, "Fine. If you just want to tear my nose open, I don't. Your friendship is not worth it to me. And that was the closest thing I've had, but I would not say it's as bad. It does not compare to what you detailed.
Yeah. Cats are mean though. I don't understand why cats are like that. Like my cats have always been really nice. Like for the most part, they're scared usually. Like that's as mean as they get. Is they'll just ignore you and do their own thing. But a lot of cats are just awful and very mean creatures.
They're antagonistic. On that note, does that mean you're more of a dog person, or kind of ambivalent towards either, or
I'm pretty much in the middle, just because of my own personal experience with animals. Like I've had some good cats, and I've had some, I've only had good cats, and I've only had good dogs. So it's not really like I have to favor the dogs over the cats.
Mm-hmm.
I think puppies are cute. I think kittens are cute. I think dogs are cute. I think cats are cute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have like a preferred species of pet.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Because I would consider myself probably a dog person, because I know how to get along with dogs in the same way I know how to get along with people. Like, I can see a dog and I can usually win it over, and we can be friends. And then there's always the one dog that I'm like, oh, you're not very nice. I don't really want to be around you. So then I don't be around that dog. Yeah. But with cats, it's always like, I can get around with cats if they want to be my friends, but there's no winning over a cat for me.
Yeah.
Like I must admit, I've never had a cat, but if I see a cat that doesn't care about me, like it's not mean to me, it's not nice to me, it just doesn't care about me, I can't go up and say, "Hey, cat, want to be friends?" And it'll be cool. Like it'll pretend to be my friends. It'll go around, but it's like when you're talking to somebody like on a train or in like a public place or something, and you think you're friends, and then they just they're still in the same place, but then they leave and ignore you. Yeah. And you can see them across the room. It's like, what are you doing? I thought we were friends.
Or like that person you meet on like the first day of school, and you're like, wow, this is going to be my best friend. We talked for a little bit in algebra, and then it's like, oh, wow, we're never going to talk again.
Yeah. Kind of like that end of the Breakfast Club feeling. It's like, I thought what we shared was good and special, but I guess we're not going anywhere with this, which is okay. Let people do what they want. Yeah. But it's also like, hey, cat, what's up?
Well, I think like the easiest way to get along with a cat is to act like the cat acts, and that is just to lie on the floor and just sprawl out, and eventually they'll sprawl out with you.
Oh, okay. Okay. That was not where I was thinking, but yeah.
You can't if you can lick yourself and you're okay with that, then you can do that as well. But I don't think that is ever something I've had to use to attract the attention of another cat. But
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll try that next time. I feel vulnerable though, laying myself down on the ground next to.
It's best to do that outside in public too. When you see a stray, you just lay down. It doesn't matter, middle of the road.
Okay. It's missing an eye or something.
Exactly. You just sit there. You let it scratch you.
Okay.
You do whatever you are.
There's like 8 of them like coming out of the shadows and stuff. It's
like,
okay, here we
definitely
go. Is that eerie meowing coming from every corner of your being?
And if you can just hawk up a hairball, you do that too.
Yeah, okay. I better get one ready then before I go. Just keep one on reserve for whenever I see a stray cat. You just leave it
right there. I mean, just right in the bottom of your throat, on call, whenever you need it.
Yeah. My gift to you.
Meow.
I will employ that noise too.
Definitely.
Whenever I see a cat, just whenever it comes up to me and I'm offering it a bit of raw chicken that I carried on my person, I just meow and it'll take it. Yeah. This I've actually seen people do this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Meow with raw chicken in their hands.
Yeah, like the people I my friends who would call themselves cat people, they usually do carry at least one raw chicken body part on their person at all times, just in the event of a surprise feline.
Hey kitty, you want a beak?
Exactly. And the beak is great because then it
plays with the beak.
It plays with the beak. It eats it. It sharpens their teeth.
It gains the chicken's powers.
Yeah. I mean,
perfect.
It'll crow in the morning and wake you up.
Could you imagine just a cat just stands up, does the whole the arm on the sides thing, and just.
Well, that's another thing is cats when they're not moving like a cat look really creepy.
Yeah.
Like when dogs move in a way that dogs don't normally move, it's cute or charming. But when a cat does it, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? There's some kind of alien in front of me. I gotta call the X-Files right now.
That's true. I've never really thought about it, but really, cats are scary when they don't move the way they're supposed to move, or even if they're just moving like they have like a light feet, sort of cat burglar style, where they sort of like ding, 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 ding. That's just creepy because they're up to no good.
Yeah. Or when they do that arched back and then they keep moving,
Ooh,
like
yeah,
in the same
like
it's
when they like walk on their toes, they're like
it's almost like they just glide over the ground.
I don't like
it's like
that.
something that doesn't belong in this plane of existence.
All the cats are great when they try to jump places and they don't land the way they thought they were going to.
Yeah.
Where they just sort of go like, they jump up and then all the four legs are just like flapping, their tail's going like a helicopter, and they're just trying to keep going and then just smack.
Oh, yeah. they act like they're... I don't know. They act like they're surprised. Do you think they're actually surprised, or they're just faking it to make it look like?
They said they're just like, yeah, I meant to.
Yeah.
Wow, silly me doing the mistake again. Oh no.
Yeah.
I hurt myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we filled our internet quota of cat content.
Yeah. So now, if you're looking for a cat video, you've got this. That is a video about cats, kind of.
Yeah.
For at least a solid 5 minutes, maybe?
At least.
I don't know. We don't have a timer going again. That's smart.
Yeah.
Wait, no, 10 minutes, because we started recording at 5:18 and it's now 5:28.
Oh, nice. We are perfect.
Wow.
Perfect on the ball.
Yes. All right. Now that means Segway time. So
See how
head to your
good we were
nearest.
at that?
What?
I'm like, no, keep going.
Oh, dang it. You screwed me up.
Don't let him know.
Ride to your nearest mall, find your mall security man, and just hop on his back, and let's go on a Segway tour.
That's right.
Of the mall.
That's right. Yeah, you go your local tourist area with Segway tourism.
Yeah.
What's that Segway? It was skillful.
I had like this idea, and I don't know where it's going now. Here we go.
I'm sorry about
Here
that.
we go. Jump. We're gonna do a jump cut. 3, 2, 1.
Jump cut.
Clickbait.
Okay, clickbait.
So clickbait's that thing that sort of goes on YouTube on pretty much every video. Generally, it's you have a thumbnail with something that has nothing to do with the video, or it's one of those thumbnails where you see like a shocked face, and then there's like a red circle with an arrow pointing to something, and that something never is explained in the video.
Or it's just like a really mundane thing.
Yeah,
Like,
and
oh
like,
my god, it's a coffee machine.
what is it? And it's like, this coffee machine does what? And it's like makes coffee.
Oh,
It's like-
that blows my mind.
Or they don't even talk about the coffee machine, and it's all just like these titles. They're so enticing. It's like, ooh, I must know what this is all about. And then it's about nothing. I hate those. Like, one of my least favorite things is, since I do a lot of editing and stuff, I will, or not just editing, but like filmmaking, I'll watch a lot of tutorial videos, and a lot of people like to title their vlogs as tutorial videos, and that is mean.
That is really, I don't like that.
Yeah. So basically, I hate clickbait, but my problem is I like to use clickbait because it works.
Yeah, surprisingly.
It's one of those things that, you just title your video quite the right way, and then all of a sudden you're gonna get, I usually average probably like 80 views on my YouTube channel or something
Hitting
like
those
that.
big numbers.
Yeah, I know I am so popular.
I don't know. That's better than anything I've ever done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to brag, but but it's like those videos where it's just enough clickbaity in the title. I start getting up towards like 200 views, and it's just it's the right thing to do. Clickbait is the way to go.
Is the way to go.
As much as I hate clickbait.
Yeah. You've become the thing you hate.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the clickbait.
If you are the clickbait, what does that mean? Like, is that different than using clickbait if you yourself are the clickbait?
If you are clickbait? Like, do you mean, so...
Like, you could use yourself, or other people could use you as clickbait.
Well, I guess that'd be kind of like being an Instagram model, and then you, like, bring her up in your video, but you use her or him. Mm-hmm. I guess it works with both genders. And then you put that on, like, the thumbnail, like a picture of them, and literally the only thing you did is, like, mention their name, and then you title it about them, too. Does that make... So are you saying like that would make me the clickbait?
Yes,
okay.
You're the Instagram model, and that's what somebody did with you.
That's sweet. I mean, I guess I'd be like flattered, but I probably wouldn't watch the video.
Yeah? Even though it's about you. Well, because then... Wait.
But is it about me?
If it's about you, you definitely watch it,
I don't know.
Yeah. But
so I guess I have to watch the video, but then I might not watch something from that channel again just because it was clickbaity.
Just because you're like, oh, you lied to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no trust there.
Yeah.
And like that's one thing about YouTube is like, I mean, the thing I've always loved about YouTube is you actually feel like really connected to all of these creators, even though you've never met any of them.
Yeah, that sense of community is very strong.
And I don't know why it is that way, because, I mean, I watch like a TV show and I feel pretty connected with the characters. I mean, I guess the big thing about, the big difference between YouTube and TV is that YouTubers are people and they're not really playing characters, whereas on TV, you're literally just seeing characters. You're not seeing the actors be the actors.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. I think... I'm skeptical of how real the people on YouTube actually are.
They're not. I
that's
don't
definitely
think they're that real.
Yeah, it's a polished and edited version of the people that are being portrayed. But I do think it's that sense of personality, that connection to a personality.
Yeah.
Brings the relationship between the focus and the audience to be much more personal.
Yeah.
But I wonder what your thoughts on like talk show hosts on television or reality TV stars or something along those lines. Like what? Because there is a difference. But what is that difference? Do you think?
Like, do you mean the difference between a talk show host on YouTube and a talk show host on TV, or just like the difference between a talk show host and a reality star? Like, or
the difference between a YouTube personality and a television personality? Like that does not playing at least a scripted character.
Okay, so like if it's Michael Strahan on Good Morning America, something like that, I don't feel nearly as connected to him as I do someone like Philip DeFranco. And they're fairly similar in the fact where they both report on news, except for when it's Philip DeFranco, it's just Philip DeFranco, and he's just talking about, he's adding a lot more of his opinion, a little bit more fact. Everyone on TV is, because I mean, in YouTube, you're seeing an edited version of someone, but you're also seeing some flaws. You're not seeing perfect lighting. You're not seeing flawless editing. You're seeing, you're not seeing makeup on someone or anything like that. Yeah. They look real and they feel real enough. But anybody who's ever hosted something like a Fox News show or anything like that, they've never felt real to me. They never look real. They're these people that are making millions of dollars, and they're just doing that for the money. And I feel like a lot of people on YouTube, they don't come across that way, even though a lot of them are. Mm-hmm.
So then it's the presentation and not necessarily the people?
I would say it is the presentation, because I feel like if I ever met Michael Strahan, he's probably a really nice guy, and I feel like I get along with him just fine. But I feel like the difference between, like, I feel like I already know Philip DeFranco. I feel like I could actually have a conversation about things like he would be interested in. Yeah. I don't know anything about Michael Strahan, even though I've been watching Good Morning America every day every day before school for like 7 years.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know who Michael Strahan is. I think
he used to be a football player and now he's a host. I guess I could have said like Robin Roberts or whatever. I think that's her name. She's one of the hosts on Good Morning America. Any talk show host. Matt Lauer from the Today Show. Yeah. That guy. You know him like.
Probably.
He's got like the really like the shaved head, and he's like. What about the one guy, the weather guy from the Today Show?
I think I know him. If I heard the name, I would know. I've seen it enough to
know.
But
those people, you know what I'm talking about. None of those people, like, and that shows you how connected I am with them. Even though I watch them on like a daily basis, I don't know any of their names that well.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and that's interesting because I do think it's a lot of the presentation. I think it's also a generational thing. I think.
Hello. Oops. Don't worry.
It's my bad. I'll turn that off.
You're ruining the podcast! Sorry! I'm done! I'm quitting!
I got a notification from Twitter to tell me about the things that people are like... Okay. Moving on.
Speaking of Twitter, follow us on ANVS Podcast. Yes, that is at ANVS Podcast on Twitter.
There you go. Thank you for that little... That was a good... See, that was planned.
Yes,
what they don't know is that was planned, yeah. But where was I going with that? The presentation is a big part of it. And like I was saying, it's a generational thing. I think people who do watch like news talk shows in the morning on television are usually older. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the medium they understand and can interact with. And so the personalities on that medium provide that connection that younger people or at least people of the internet know how to navigate and get to on YouTube. And I think it is that production value or the presentation what you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And so what you're familiar with breeds that intimacy between the personality and the audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's different, and I don't know fully. Those are just kind of my like off the cuff thoughts. Without
we're
any...
not experts at all.
No,
like
no.
in psychology or anything like that. It's more just like this is why we think.
Yeah.
That way being to teenage people.
Yeah. And if I had more time to think about it, I bet I could come up with like a more well thought out and reasoned way to present this.
Yeah.
And make it more intimate between us and the audience.
Yeah.
But
intimacy. Although, like, I was thinking, I'm actually I listen a lot to Howard Stern, his show on Sirius XM or whatever. And although I don't really like a lot of his content, he's a really great interviewer, and I feel like I'm fairly connected to like when he shows his real person versus because when he's doing his normal show, he's pretty much just a character. He's this gross kind of dude. But then when he does these interviews, he's this real guy. Like, he'll talk to people like Billy Joel, and you feel like they're just these real people. You actually connect with them. I've never connected with, like, Adam Sandler on, like, a personal level from watching Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
And I've never thought, like, oh, if I ever saw him, I could have this conversation. But, you know, you watch an interview with him and, like, Howard Stern, and you're like, wow, I'm actually kind of connected to that person, hearing more about what they're about, what they do, all of that sort of stuff. Like, I never really loved, like, Kevin Hart's movies or anything like that, although I really respect him as a performer and a comedian. But listening to his conversation, it's like, wow, he's a great businessman. There's a lot about him. You learn that, and you learn how, like, you learn more about the people that way. And I think that's one thing that YouTube brings is you really learn about the people because they're not showing stuff they're forced to show. And, like, that might be one of the things, because the people on Good Morning America or the Today Show or any news show, they have they're forced to talk about certain things that bring in ratings.
Yeah.
Whether that be like Trump talking about fake news all the time, or back when Obama was president, like bringing forward the birth certificate, stuff like that. They're forced to talk about that, but on YouTube, they just talk about whatever they want to.
Yeah, I think to an extent. I'd say a lot of the bigger names on YouTube.
Well, the bigger names, like, I mean, like all the Let's Players and stuff like that, they're forced to play video games. Even if they want to make a short film, they don't get to do that. But it's like, they still...
They have some more creative freedom.
Yeah, they have a lot more creative freedom, and that way you get to see more about what they're into, and you get to see more of who they are that way.
Yeah.
And you don't really get to see that as much, I think, with the AAA big performers, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think this is not my idea. So I don't remember where I heard it, so I'm sorry that I can't credit the person who actually came up with it. Maybe if you search it online or something, you'll find where it originally came from, hopefully. But one of the ideas I liked that kind of explained this difference in the way people feel in relation to television personalities and online personalities is the way the market for reality television changed. Yeah. So there, like a while ago, people were freaking out because reality television is ruining America or whatever. It's like
well, it's because it's like mind-numbingly stupid TV.
Yeah, it is, and it's not gone. It's just not as pervasive as it used to be.
Well, I mean, like when Jersey Shore was on, like that was a huge show for a while. And that was just crappy reality TV show. Same thing with like Keeping Up with the Kardashians is today. It's like
yeah. But it doesn't.
It's not as big.
Yeah, I mean, that could just be our perception that it's not as big. Maybe, I don't know the numbers. Maybe it's gotten more popular.
Yeah, it honestly could be just as big, but I never watch cable as much. I feel like our generation doesn't watch TV as much as it watches stuff on Netflix or other streaming websites.
Yeah, and I thought, or the reasoning I heard that the push towards, or the connection with online personalities was due in large part to an unsatisfied aspect of the demand for reality television. Like, reality television was not supplying what viewers were demanding, so they moved to a platform where it could be more real and grounded in reality, whereas the personality is not just the personality, they are also the editor and the videographer and the person in charge of what's going on. So it's much more realistic than reality television.
Well, I mean, when you look at those daily vloggers on YouTube, they're filming their families, doing all this sort of stuff, and you know that the bad parts are being cut out. Yeah. You know that they don't live perfect lives, but you see these lives and you see all this like happiness, and you see it coming from a real person like you. At least you go back to when they first started. A lot of people just start because it's like, well, I got a camera for Christmas. I'm going to start filming. I'm going to start, try and do something on YouTube just because I've heard this is happening and it's cool. And then you get to see what like a real person is like. And then, of course, their content gets a little bit more towards the reality TV spectrum later on.
Mm-hmm.
But you still get to learn more. Oh, my goodness, that's probably not going to sound good. I just bumped the table. But I mean, that's one of those things that I feel like you get to see, like, once I said again, like, you get to see more of, like, what they want to post versus what the network wants to post.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's that could actually be the greater connectedness, is that it's the producer or the person in charge of what's being put out into the world is the one directly in contact with what the audience wants to see. Whereas with the network is using all of these metrics and ideas of what sells and what doesn't, and they're not really. They are paying attention to the audience, but they're paying attention to the data that the audience is producing. So it's a little bit different. But what you were saying there a little bit, because what is popular on YouTube and what's popular in reality TV, I think that's also kind of interesting. And I don't have any thoughts on it other than that it's interesting.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of YouTube drama that you can get into if you want to. I'm not very knowledgeable about it because
Killer Keemstar here with drama.
yeah. And it doesn't interest me that much, but you can see how that is kind of the more traditional reality television idea or theme where it's just drama and bad things are exciting, and that's what gets people to watch. But YouTube has things that are not necessarily present in a lot of reality TV shows where you're right, they cut out the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And they only give you the things of people being happy and living full lives and being like...
Or if it's like a bad thing, a lot of the time, it's... When you look at the reality TV shows, with the exception of probably like TLC, like channels like that... Well, that's the channel that has like Honey Boo Boo, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Or like I think they do Extreme Couponers or like, what is it, like My Strange Addiction, those sort of things. Those are just so weird and bizarre, and there's nothing you can relate to. And the other spectrum is what you see on like Bravo and TMZ, other channels like that, where you're seeing just these incredibly rich people live their lives. Or even when like Duck Dynasty was that on AMC? I think it was, I don't know, it was on some channel. It was the same. That doesn't matter. Or when you were watching Duck Dynasty and you saw this weird backwoods family that's also like incredibly rich and owns the Duck Commander and all that sort of stuff. It's never anything you can relate to as much. I felt like I could relate to Duck Dynasty a little bit just because my family's a lot of backwoods hillbillies. I'm not, but it's more like, oh yeah, I can see my grandpa doing something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like YouTube, it's more just like you've got these middle class, sometimes poor. Everybody comes from a different life in YouTube, but they're all more your life. At least they seem a little bit more like your life, whether they're from LA, Montana, whatever. And that one of the things I was watching is Shay Carl's vlogumentary. It was a documentary all about vloggers and YouTube and stuff like that.
That sounds pretty cool.
It was super interesting. Like, I don't love Shay Carl's content, but like I said, like I don't love everyone's content, but I love when somebody has an idea like that. And I thought it was really cool to go and see some different personalities on YouTube sort of like tell their story. And one of the people, I forget her name, but she did like sketch comedy, stuff like that. And then YouTube doesn't pay the bills for everyone. Like a lot of people do have that misconception of like, wow, if you're on YouTube and you're making some money, you're going to be making millions.
Yeah. A
lot of people make millions just because they're advertising on their video. And I mean, it's not really the advertising that plays beforehand. It's more like videos that are sponsored, stuff like that. Promotions. Those are where you get a lot of money, or how you're managing it, whatever, that sort of thing. That's how they make their money. But that's not the point of this. She was just sort of like the perfect story of how like she's really popular on YouTube. She has a few million subscribers or whatever. She's not making enough to pay rent in Los Angeles, so she has to go out, and she does that one of those services where when people like order like, hey, I want takeout here, she goes, she picks it up, and then she delivers it and gets paid for that. And just seeing her go around living like a real life, like trying to work hard to make money so she can make her next video and still live in a house. Yeah. That's a lot more interesting and like sort of what you get to pick up on from a lot of YouTubers. Like there are definitely people like the Markipliers that are making millions every year, and but they still seem real. Yeah. Because a lot of their content is directed towards you being real, and a lot of them are still rooted into where they began, which makes them seem a lot more connected,
Personable, yeah. No, I totally agree, and I think that is part of the disconnect between people who choose to watch YouTube and people who would rather watch reality television. Is reality television, as spontaneous as it is, it's very heavily manipulated to get the outcomes.
It's very heavily scripted, and not to say that YouTube isn't either, but I mean, it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't come across as scripted as reality TV does.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the appeal of YouTube, at least for me, is that it's not solely centered around drama.
That is true. Yeah. everything that reality TV is centered around. Like if you ever see the commercial breaks, like one thing that YouTube doesn't have is commercial breaks, and that way you don't have to worry about
time.
Well, okay. For a lot of channels, there aren't commercial breaks and stuff like that. Now you have like random ads that like pop in there, but nobody's saying like, and then you'll see after the break.
It's not. Yeah, it's not built around it.
Yeah, it's not like you're gonna get a bunch of suspense and then it's like, and then after this happens, it's not a bunch of drama. Like you don't get that. You get the whole video in one piece. And that's like one of the things I loved about shows like Regular Show or even like SpongeBob, like cartoons like that, is they would tell you a full story in 15 minutes or so, or even 22 minutes or whatever. YouTube does that. They give you a full story, unless it's a series, like an ongoing thing. It's just nice, like especially even like daily vloggers, you get that full day, you get it in 5 minutes, and then you move on. That's a nice thing. That's another thing that makes YouTube a little bit more like I can get down with that. It's because of how the videos are done and how it's that short content where you get to learn a lot about a person in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, that is
versus
really cool.
30 minutes of people constantly doing something, and like after a while you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, just doing something to make each other angry or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on that note, let's find another segue right on that. There we go.
You have a diesel Segway.
Oh, you know what? I'm going off-roading. Those are so cool.
Are those real?
Yeah, they have it. Like I know in Hawaii, I've never done a Segway tour before because I don't need to go on a Segway just to ride around and look at stuff. That's kind of silly to me.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go out into the backwoods, I'm not going to ride a diesel Segway, even though they have them. And that's kind of cool.
That's crazy. I was joking. I
didn't
know they were real.
Like, no, like, for real. Like, they'll go, like, there's, like, dirt trails or, like, rocky trails or whatever. And they'll just be, like, riding around, like... And those are really cool. I don't know why they pick up so fast because nobody looks cool on a Segway. Like everyone looks like a dork riding one of those.
Especially a lot of the tours make you wear helmets, don't they?
They do, and they're not just like incognito kind of helmets where they're like black. They're just bright white. Like, hey, I'm on a tour. You have to wear like a yellow vest on top of it. Yeah. Most of the people have those like Camelback backpacks where it's like all full of water.
What do you do? Like, you're standing still. You need to hydrate.
You gotta hydrate. I'm really worried. It's getting hot here, but I put on my big old straw hat over my helmet. Like, it's Segway tours, I get them in the fact where it's like, okay, you don't have to go and actually walk around and do stuff, but like, why don't you want to? Like, you went on vacation, you just go on vacation to stand on a little machine.
It's actually, I'm a little, it bothers me a little bit that they're called hoverboards because they're not hovering.
They don't hover!
Yeah. But I went to a party a little while ago where somebody brought their hoverboards for people to try. And so I tried them. I took it for a spin out around the neighborhood. And it's fun. You can go really fast on it.
No, those are really fun. I like hoverboards way more than Segways. Like, I'm just going to say that right now. Even though they're basically the same thing.
Well, that's the thing is I didn't realize how they were different. Other than with a Segway, you had something to hold on to if you got scared.
That's the only difference.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between a scooter and a skateboard. Except for there's a lot of differences there.
But like with the hoverboard, it's kind of scary how fast you can get going.
Oh my god, I know.
Like, there were a few times I felt I didn't fall off. I jumped off. I bailed, and I didn't hit the ground. But had I hit the ground, I would have been hurting a lot. Yeah. And so I guess maybe the helmet does make a little bit of sense, but it's the least like practical mode of transport because you do get to go faster, but you're just standing still. Yeah. Like in my opinion, if you're trying to move somewhere, I feel more comfortable walking than standing on something because my feet get more tired if they're standing still. Yeah. If I'm walking, my feet can last me a lot longer.
Like, and then sometimes my feet will get sore when I'm walking, but it's like my legs get really sore if they're just sitting there like locked. Like I'd rather keep moving, keep the blood circulating versus like standing for long periods of time.
Isn't that what they say? Like if you lock your knees, you'll pass out or something?
Yeah, you can pass out by doing that. Like I know a lot of people, my choir teacher would always tell me not to lock your knees because for a lot of performances, even if you're only up there, let's say it's like a festival and you've got lots of people going, you're only going to be up there for about 10 minutes, but if you're singing for 10 minutes with your feet locked in one place, like you're not circulating blood as clearly as you should. Yeah. And lots of people can pass out, especially like with stage lights on top of that.
Oh, it's hot and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like what I could see is, if you're out like in Florida, Hawaii, whatever, on a Segway, you got your knees locked. And okay, just think about that. You're in like these...
you pass out all of a sudden.
Well, you're going really fast, and a lot of these people, like the people that I see, will wear those like really like heavy cotton, like button up floral shirts. Yeah. And then like that's gonna get hot after a while, and I mean you're in like these really hot parts of the world trying to see like waterfalls and stuff, but it's just I don't get it. if I'm gonna like, and I mean, some people will do another thing when they'll go on vacations is they'll just sit in a room and watch TV, which is like,
that's so boring.
I don't know why you do that. Like, just stay home. Like,
Yeah.
why spend like $1,000 on the like
If you're
plane
gonna
ride
do
and
anything, well, like if you're gonna go somewhere to just sit inside and consume media,
yeah.
make it a local radio station or something, because then you're actually getting to know like where you are. It's something different than what you would get at home.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always liked is listening. Well, I don't really do it anymore because now with like Spotify and stuff, but it was always nice to like listen to the radio and then like have different radio hosts and stuff talk in that area.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool just to see like what goes on. Like one thing I always do is I read the like local paper, and I don't read like the New York Times or whatever in like when I'm in Maui. I'm going to read like the Maui Times or whatever, and it's kind of interesting just to see like what goes on.
What's happening?
Even just to see like what's listed for sale, because it's so different than what we get up here in Northern California. Like here we get, it's like we got a tractor for sale, or like I'm selling my Toyota. And Maui, it's like, yeah, so I have this like old Jeep. It's like, I mean, it's similar, but it's really different, and it's kind of cool. It's always cool just to see the culture of a different area.
Totally. Yeah. No. It's so cool. And one of the things we were talking about on one of the previous podcasts about what we're trying to do with what we're studying, right?
Yeah.
So I know I talked about sociology and what applications that have, but did I talk about journalism at all?
No, not at all.
Okay. No. Okay, yeah, because that was something that I'm not totally sold on, because it doesn't pay that well.
Yeah.
And I'm not totally in it for the money, but I do want to be able to feed myself.
Exactly.
But journalism is an interest that I have because I really enjoy it. I think when it's done well, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a great public service.
Definitely.
But it also, if I were able to get in, like hired as a reporter or as whatever for a bigger publication, then it is the exact job description I would like to have, where it's like you're doing something different every day, you're meeting interesting people, you do work at a desk, but not all the time. Just like all of these things, I'm like, that sounds great. So even though it's not what I'm studying, it's a door I'd like to leave open. And it's also something that if you have a degree in it, you'll probably have a leg up. But it's not necessarily something you need a degree for. And you can apply different degrees to it.
Definitely.
But one of the things I think about doing is if I like move to a new area, I'd probably try to get involved somehow in the local journalism area, because it's one of the best ways to get to know a locale.
Oh, definitely, definitely, yeah.
Like you said, reading it for if you're going to Maui and you're reading the
or anywhere, even
anywhere.
like if you read like you go to like to Palo Alto for a day or something like that, or I don't know, literally anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And you read their newspaper, you're gonna learn something different about that area, what goes on. Like, I mean, just look at like the houses for sale. Like, I know I already brought up like, hey, we got like tractors and stuff. And it's like, look for a house for sale. Like, you're gonna see stuff that's like super small, selling for like millions of dollars, and then you see like all of these small jobs and stuff are like, how are they living in that area? That sort of thing. And like, it makes you think, and then you get to. No, one of my favorite things is I was in San Francisco, and we had just walked through. Me and my cousin had just walked through Chinatown, and we saw all these like crazy weird things. It was like, whoa! I felt like I was just in China, because I mean, it's basically what it is. Like, except for it's in San Francisco. And then we went to a flower shop and just talked to the owner there for a little bit. And it was so cool to see like what he does for his community, and then what he does, like he also like, goes around the world and does that. And then we just started talking to everybody around there, whether they were like hotel clerks and stuff like that. Like I was in Santa Monica a little while ago, and we were talking to our server at our hotel, and it was really cool because she lived on the other side of LA. She lived at like East Hollywood, and Santa Monica is like on the ocean, very far to the west. So she had to commute like an hour to work every day. Oh. Well, that's without traffic. But so she was commuting like that. She was going to LA City College, and it was just really cool to hear like her story about like what you have to do to live in that sort of area, and compare that to what it's like to live up here, where you can work at a job like Kohl's and like pick up another job on the side, and you can live pretty comfortably in an apartment. It's interesting.
It's really nice to see the different dynamics of what different areas are like, and how the people live. And that's why I think journalism is really interesting, especially on the local level, because one, you get to know the area really well. It'll help you kind of navigate the environment, just so you know where things are. But it also gets you involved with what the community is doing and what different parties in the community are trying to achieve, and it gets you in touch with the people who are actually trying to do things.
Oh yeah, and it's really cool too, just to see what all those little pieces in that community are doing to make it what that type of community is. Because you don't get an area like Los Angeles, that doesn't just happen. It's not just like, okay, so now everyone's going to be crazy. It's like, why is it so crazy? What's going on? It's cool just to see, talk to every little person and see, like, is it all like that? And then you learn it's not. Then it's just cool.
Yeah.
Like, what's the real, like I said earlier, the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. I think that was earlier before the podcast.
No, that was before the podcast, but yeah.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
But no, you're right.
Yeah.
You get to the what's actually happening and what you get to find out what the goings on are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. And yeah, journalism is definitely something that I've always been interested in as well. Like, I really enjoyed, reading the news, seeing what's going on in both the world and in my community. And yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, we still have a little bit more time. Is there any more segues you want to bring in too?
Man, I don't want to overuse that segue joke because it can get really annoying really fast.
It can, yeah. Okay.
But I don't know. One of the things I've always had a problem with is being really scared of everything. So yeah, this is now another conversation about a totally different topic.
Okay.
And here we are. But specifically, like, one thing that always comes to mind, and I don't know why, but when I was a kid, my grandma loves Halloween. Like, I have one grandma who just hates all scary things and everything like that. Her house is always really bright and stuff like that. And then my other grandma loves Halloween. She loves horror movies, stuff like that.
Yeah, it surprises me when people don't love Halloween.
I don't get. How can you not love Halloween? You get costumes. You get to be another person for a night. That's fun. It's cool.
Yeah.
You get candy for free. Whoa.
Yeah.
But no. So she loved having costumes. She always decorates like crazy. She has probably $1,000 just in Halloween decorations that she's collected throughout the years. And she had this one green witches/vampire mask, and it always scared the crap out of me. It scared me so bad. If I knew it was Halloween time, I wouldn't walk through her front door because I would run away in tears because I was so scared.
Of this
mask. I would walk around the house in through the backside.
Was anybody wearing it, or was it just
no? It just it was she would just put it in her entryway, on she has a coat rack, and she would just hang the mask over the coat rack. And I don't even remember it being that scary now.
Yeah.
I couldn't even picture it, but it scared me so bad as a kid. And I was always so scared of anything like that. Especially if I went to another house, someone's house that I didn't really know that well, and it was nighttime. I was always so scared, and I don't know why.
Oh, wait, is it sleepovers?
Sleepovers? I couldn't do sleepovers. I could only sleep at my grandma's house until I was about 12 years old.
Yeah, me too. I was always afraid that they were going to be one of those weirdos that was going to cook me and eat me.
It wasn't even that. I was
you were just pretending to be my friend.
My biggest thing, I don't know why. So this was the weirdest night. I was staying the night at my cousin's house, and he lives probably 12 minutes away from me. And I was just sort of sitting there. We had just finished watching an episode of Full House, and I don't know why, but it was probably 10 p.m. I got so scared that someone was just gonna break in. For no reason. There was no connection at all.
Yeah.
I think the episode was the people from Full House went to freaking Hawaii or something like that. And then I was like, wow, someone's gonna break in. And then I got so scared I had to call my mom, and she had to pick me up at 10 p.m. After she had fallen asleep. That's not that late now, but at that time I thought it was 4. I was like,
yeah. Yeah, no, I get that.
I don't know why, but I was the biggest scaredy cat. I couldn't watch any scary movies. I couldn't even watch the Goosebumps as a kid. I was that scared.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, if it was on TV for some reason, it didn't bother me. But if I had to go rent or view a movie that was supposed to be scary, I was like, nope, it's not for me. Not gonna do that. Yeah. And then no, I'm totally the same way. I wouldn't touch horror movies in the box.
Never.
If we went to the video store, I would avoid that section.
I couldn't because I would see scary pictures. Of things.
The pictures are scary. If I had to walk through that section, I'd look at the floor until I got out of it. Yeah. Because of that, I didn't know the joy of roller coasters for a long time.
I don't like roller coasters still.
Still?
And it's not that I'm scared of roller coasters, because I'm definitely not. I just don't like that feeling of falling.
It's just an unpleasant sensation.
Yeah, that's unpleasant for me. So I don't do roller coasters, but I like going fast. It's just when I'll go on if it's basically any ride at Disneyland except for California Screamin' or the Tower of Terror. Yeah. I'm totally fine. Because they just go fast, and it's good time. Hyperspace Mountain, it's just
yeah. I don't know if I'd call those roller coasters. They're
not really roller
rides.
The only roller coaster is the California Screamin'. That's actually a roller coaster. But all other roller coasters pretty much go like just straight down, and they'll do all the like the loop-de-loops, and I just don't like that feeling.
Yeah, I understand that. I love that feeling now. Like I love roller coasters now, but no, I can see like if it's not for you, it's not for you.
Well, like I wouldn't even go on them because I was scared at one point. But then like when I finally went on them, because it was like there's no need to be scared. I just don't like the feeling, so I just don't do them.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was until I ended up like I finally built up the courage to try, and I was like, okay, I like these now.
Yeah.
But one of the things that still like made me uneasy, like I was tired. I don't know why this is a rational thought of mine. I wouldn't call it a fear, but I'd call it a thought. Was that idea? It was like, oh, I'm gonna go spend the night at a new friend's house, and what's gonna happen? I was like, I sure hope they don't murder me. Like, I've known you for several months and you've been a pretty cool guy, but I really hope you don't. I really hope you don't murder me.
You could totally Texas Chainsaw Massacre me right now. You could just send me to the basement, just chop me up and eat me. Like,
yeah. I don't know if you've been faking me out this whole time as a 12-year-old.
It's just a ruse.
Yeah. So then when I saw Get Out, which I wouldn't necessarily call it a horror movie.
I haven't seen that yet. I really want to though.
Oh, you haven't?
I've heard it's really good.
Okay. Do you care if I spoil it for you?
I don't care.
Okay. Well, okay, I won't spoil it for you.
Okay.
I mean, it might be considered, but...
Okay. But possible spoiler warning.
Possible spoiler warning. So, I had seen it, and then a week later, I was supposed to go spend, like, 3 days at an out-of-town apartment with some coworkers who wanted to go on a like, quick little trip with me.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, cool. I haven't really done this before. Let's see how it goes. And it went really well. Nothing bad happened, but... Partly because I get car sick on windy roads, so I wanted to be the driver, but also partly because I wanted to make sure I had my keys on me. And I was the one in control of the keys, and if you've seen Get Out, you know why.
Okay.
It was
now that really makes me want to watch the movie. Just
yeah. But it was a completely irrational thought or fear, and I was like, this is really stupid of me, and I recognize that it's really stupid of me, but I'm still gonna commit to this. But yeah. That's so I do get it. Like, it's still, there are still things that bother me today about movies specifically. It's like, I can walk around on the streets at night by myself and be like, everything is fine, and that's just like being stupid.
Yeah,
but
it's not fine.
No, it's not. It's actually don't do that. Yeah,
no, they don't have to be creepy shadow creatures. They just have to be people. People are terrifying.
Yeah, they are. But then, like, I'll do stupid stuff like that that doesn't scare me, but then I'll watch a movie and be like, ooh, maybe I should always keep my keys on me at all times, just in case.
Okay, so I can watch, like, horror movies, like big horror movies, like Saw, stuff like that. That never scares me. Like, Halloween doesn't scare me. Friday the 13th. I just watch it because, I mean, it's just like, fun, killing. I get a couple of jump scares, good times. Killing isn't fun, but watching it on movies, fake killing is okay.
Okay.
But the things that really scare me are like really well done, like short horror films that don't have much to them. Like there's this one video that always comes to mind that just scares the bejeebas out of me. And that is just, it's called The Smiling Man. And it's literally like 4.5 minutes long, I think. And all it is this guy just starts like waltzing down the street, and this like stops another guy, and the guy's like, hey, how's it going? And then the dude just keeps smiling, and then he like waltzes away, and he's literally waltzing, like he's dancing.
Yeah.
And then the guy like turns around, sees him, and he's like in a running man position, like the waltzing dude is.
Okay.
And like at that point, that scares the poop out of me, because that is so scary. Because I don't know if you've ever had like a friend, like, because then I was explaining this to my one of my friends, and then we did it to each other, and it is the scariest thing. But basically, he's down in this running man position, and the guy that is not the smiling man like turns around, and he's like, oh god, okay, and then he starts to like slowly walk away, and then the guy in the running man position, the smiling man, he just goes boom, he's like running so fast, and it's like, oh no, it's the scariest thing. So then they start running, and he's like sprinting, and then he loses sight of him, and he like tries to get in his car, and then the smiling man shows up, and then it's just over, and I'm like, that's so scary.
Yeah.
That legitimately put fear in me. And I just watched another video where like a doll gets possessed or whatever, and it's like a lot more like visually like terrifying. But I that scares me so much. Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah, no. Well, it's all like psychology, like the imagery is what's scary, right?
And it wasn't even like the imagery wasn't even that scary. It was just a guy in a yellow suit smiling, and it wasn't like it was a creepy kind of like a Joker smile type thing, but it wasn't like Like, I don't know why, but like you see like scary monsters and stuff, and those are pretty freaky. Like if you saw like somebody that actually looked like a zombie from The Walking Dead, like, you're not okay with that.
Yeah.
But if you see just a guy with just a grimace walking at you, and we were just walking through a neighborhood at night, you're going back home. Like, that's so scary.
It kind of goes back to like people are scary.
Yeah, people are terrifying.
Yeah.
Real people are way scarier than monsters. Like,
yeah.
Like I actually started watching horror movies like a lot recently, and I don't know why. And like I said, like I've always been scared of them. But then like I don't know, maybe like 3 years ago, I just decided like, well, I'm not scared of them anymore, and I don't know what changed that, but
I don't know.
Happened.
I don't know what that was either, because I went through a similar thing. I don't remember when, but scary horror movies were not scary to me anymore, and I still don't enjoy them to the point where I seek them out.
Yeah.
But I if somebody wants to go with me, or if somebody wants me to go to a movie with them, I don't make that rule. I don't say okay, but not horror movies.
Yeah, because it used to be like if I was even like scared of like movie theaters. Like I couldn't actually go. Like I was so scared to like just watch Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and not because I thought anything was going to be scary, but just because like it was just the loud noises. I had really sensitive ears as a kid, so anything that was like really really loud would just kind of freak me out because it would hurt my head, and I'd just be like I mean now that's not really the case.
Well, I think when there's actual pain involved, then fear is a little bit more reasonable.
I guess, now that I think about it, it kind of made sense. But I don't know when it really happened, but all of a sudden, like, movies didn't scare me. And I don't know if it was just the fact that, like, I realized, because I remember the first time I saw, like, Raiders of the Lost Ark, like Indiana Jones, that face melting scene, I couldn't go outside. I was so terrified. Like, that was it. Like, I was done.
Yeah, I was like, this is not okay.
That was like, no. Their scary box is going to make me not alive.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's so irrational. It's like, why are you going to come into contact with what is the Ark of the Covenant?
Yeah. Like, when is that going to happen? When am I going to be faced in a situation where zombies are not Nazis? Not zombies. When Nazis have just tied me to a pole and like I'm forced to watch the opening of the Ark of the Covenant. Like and then I mean after I saw that movie I was like, whoa! Like after like a day afterwards when it was like time to calm down, I got so interested. I kept like reading the Bible trying to find like chapters about the Ark of the Covenant.
Watching Ancient Aliens.
Exactly. Turns out it's only in there for like 2 pages total of the entire Bible. So I was like, this is dumb.
What a letdown.
Wow, all this build up for nothing.
No, yeah, you're right, and it's that kind of stuff that like for some reason the alien at the end of the fourth Indiana Jones freaked me out to no end.
Oh, yeah?
I think it dissolved a few people.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't even just what it did, just like the look and the way, like I think it was just it's not a good movie. So but, the whole like way that it showed up and the atmosphere of what was happening, that freaked me out, and I was like, no way.
Yeah. One thing. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know why that happens, but we just like
strums a chord, and then all of a sudden you're just terrified of that thing.
Yeah.
And like one time I was at my grandma's house, the scary grandma, and I was watching. I don't know why, but on TV it was like one of those shows. It was like The Proof of Aliens or something like that. And when I thought aliens were real, they didn't say that like, oh yeah, they probed me or anything. It was just like the thought that they existed and they had the flying saucers. I was so scared. My cousin's birthday party. I feel so bad for my cousin. I was so scared when I was around him. Was at like one of those like mini golfing like go-kart places, and I had to leave because I was so scared that I thought aliens were going to abduct me. And my mom was like, "Nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna be fine." And then I cried, and she had to take me away. And I was like, I was only like 6, but it was like so scary for me, and I don't know why.
Yeah, dude. No,
it was just stupid.
That's no fun. But yeah, I mean, we don't do that anymore. Like we've said, we don't not go to horror movies. And you say you actually enjoy watching them.
Yeah, I'll sometimes like seek them out. It's like there's one on Netflix I really want to watch right now. It's called Clown. It just looks creepy and good. I want to watch that.
Okay,
sounds good.
But then there's also like I still have friends that will say no, I won't go to a movie.
I have the same thing. And a lot of people won't watch them because it's like, oh, they're so cheesy. But it's like, come on, that's what makes them fun.
Yeah.
That's why I like them. I like to search them out because they're either cheesy or if they're really good, it's like, hey, surprise. It's actually a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of them can be really well done. I think it all comes down to the story.
Yeah.
If it's a good story, then it's a good movie.
Story and then acting too, because sometimes you can have like a really like intriguing story, but if you have like just awful actors, it can totally butcher it.
Yeah.
Or if you just have that one character that you just can't stand, like I can't think of a good example. Or like freaking what's her name from Willie from the second Indiana Jones movie. Oh yeah. She's really screechy and kind of annoying for the entire movie, and she's part of why I don't like that movie as much as the other ones. But you know, you just have a character like that in a movie, and it can totally throw off the entire feeling and all of that. You know?
Yeah, yeah. No, that is. You were trying to think of one, and I think the one you probably would have been trying to think of is the kid from The Purge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Purge though, like. I think that The Purge found its footing in the second movie because the second and third Purge were actually really, really good. Mm-hmm. And then the first Purge, that whole home invasion thing, it just didn't work as well as just the fact that people are trying to run away from the anarchy.
Right. It didn't. You're right. It did kind of be more of a home invasion kind of thing instead of the actual concept where it's like we can literally do anything we want.
Yeah. And then like what I loved is you got a pretty solid story. You got solid enough actors. Like they were not great movies, but I totally recommend watching them because they're really fun for like a night just to watch. And then, because you get to see, like, the story, and then on top of that, you get to see scenes where they just cut to people breaking the law, and they're doing just crazy stuff. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I've always thought, like, a Purge video game would be perfect, because it's just literally, like, you get to go out and do whatever the hell you want. You can rob people, you can save people. Like, that would be so cool.
Yeah, that is an interesting concept, because now I'm curious, like, what would be the conflict in the game? It sounds kind of like a sandbox Grand Theft Auto.
The thing is, yeah, it would be like a sandbox, but I don't know. It would either be, like... I feel like it would be sort of like an Infamous type thing, except for to another extreme, where it's like you're literally going to hunt down and try to kill people. Like, I feel like it'd be a lot of side quests, of course, because it'd have to be open world type, that sort of thing. Yeah. Or it would be like you're trying to save the other like people that are being hunted down. And it would have to be like you'd have to choose either one path or the other. And once you start going down one, you can't find your way back to the other path.
Well, because it seems kind of to me like you could do it kind of in a Dishonored Last of Us style, where it's not necessarily open world and it's not. But it's like a story-driven thing, and it lets you loose, and you can, like, kind of with Dishonored, how you can choose, what you choose affects the way that the game is played. So if you want to try and save people and fight the Purge, then that works in one way, and if you want to, like, totally buy in and just, like, destroy everything. Then
or, like, another way, it would be cool if it, like, started off, like, you have, like, 2 options. Like, let's say it's, like, 2 8-hour games, so you end up getting, like, a full game afterwards. You have, like, the version where you're just trying to save yourself and save, like, your family, and then you find, like, other people, and you're saving them. Yeah. And then you have the option of being, like, the rich people that go around and, like, totally, like, promote the Purge. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I think that would be, like, I feel like that'd just be an awesome game, and I feel like the Purge... the second and third movies were better than the first one, and that's my opinion on the Purge.
I didn't even know they made a third one, to be honest.
The third one was the one that had like it was all about the election. It was election year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Then I guess I missed the second one. I don't.
The second one, like none of them are that memorable, but they're just the second one's better. The second one's like I think called Anarchy, and that one's solid. That's a solid movie.
Okay, yeah. Well, that was my one like aside from the faults of it as a movie. The one thing like that kind of bothered me about The Purge was how big of a political statement it was.
Yeah.
It's just saying like, I don't know. It just was, it didn't seem that believable or that, like it took it to the extreme, which I guess was the point. But I feel like if you're trying to scare somebody with the implications of policy, there are better and more moving ways to do it than saying like, they'll just murder you in your home.
Yeah.
But
I think that the other Purge, like I feel like that first one though, it was honestly like I feel like it was trying to drive that sort of thing. But even though the other 2 Purge movies, the second and third one, were not driving the political side, it also made it seem a lot more like it hit more on the political side, on like policy driven. But it was just because it was better storytelling, and you were like more afraid of like the power that like a totalitarian government could hold versus the power that versus like it seemed more less totalitarian government and more of like the democracy that like voted this bill into power. Okay. So I just feel like it's all story, right? I don't know.
Yeah. I get you.
I didn't think that much ahead about us talking about this part of the Purge. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah. To be honest, the most exposure I've had to the Purge is the Rick and Morty episode. I've not actually watched any of the movies. Yeah.
That was significantly better than all 3 of the movies combined, though.
Yeah. It was a good one.
They're purging Morty. Come on.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was a good. When people. I'm surprised at how much rewatchability that show has.
Oh, it's so good.
And And so when I'm around people and they're like, let's just rewatch some Rick and Morty, I'm like,
It's
okay,
so fun.
That's a go-to episode that people really
Definitely.
like.
And like I think my top 2 go-to episodes are those like the interdimensional television episodes where everything's improv, because I think that's part of what makes Rick and Morty so good is like a lot of that show ends up becoming improv, which makes it so much more entertaining. And like there's so many things that go on, it's hard to pick up on everything on the first watch through, so you have to go back and you have to pick up on more jokes, and that's awesome.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good one, and we're just still waiting around on season 3.
Oh my gosh, it's supposed to come out I think in July, so it's coming out soon. The rest of season 3, even though the first episode came out.
I just figured they were just gonna keep releasing one episode every April Fool's Day.
I'd be okay with that.
And
kind
wait
of
12 years for the end of season 3. There we go.
But yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that does it for another New Voice Show, episode 4.
Yeah, I think you're right. That was a good one.
Yeah. It kind of went everywhere.
It did. Yeah, we had a good variety of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
The title should be interesting.
The title, I don't even know what could it just be called Segway?
Sure. Yeah. Let's just double down on
Segway.
this. Yeah. Let's just make this joke even more. I really like this joke. We're gonna keep pushing it.
We're gonna push it forever. It's gonna continuously go on for the whole show.
Right. We'll just keep segueing into more Segway jokes.
Yes.
There we go.
We'll script some out. We'll just have like a list, like a whiteboard right next to us. That's all about just different Segway jokes. Or just in like index cards, we'll like open them up and be like, oh, so what is our Segway joke for today? Oh, it's this one.
Yeah, exactly. This is no longer going to be a podcast about whatever else we want to talk about. This is going to be exclusively about Segways and different ways to.
It's not a show about things anymore. It's a show about Segways.
Welcome. So tune in next time for another new Segway show.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, on that segue, I think it's time to end the podcast.
Yeah.
I've been your co-host, Brendan Madison.
I've been your co-host, Johnny G. Thanks again to Caleb Exley and Lydia Gibson for our fantastic music and art, even though they are both separate in creating each of those things.
Yes, and you can find links to their works in the description.
Yes, you can. And as always, thank you again for listening. And I think we said
you can listen to us again in a week. Bye-bye.
Good show.